couple more of huge moves. We'll probably make maybe one next week that you're going to really appreciate.
Our top 15 transfer class in the nation.
Juju is the fourth five-star signed in the last 3 years, doubling that total from the previous 25 years.
A full week of Colorado spring football practice is underway, and Deion Sanders, of course, got to the meeting and kind of talked about a few things. Interestingly, he promised some big-time acquisitions and some big news. I think he was hinting at also some coaching additions, too. And on top of that, he says it's going to be some big news for Shedeur, Travis Hunter, everybody at the Pro Day, as all 32 teams are going to be at Colorado, man. So let's hop in here, listen what Deion Sanders has to say. Then we, of course, have a few interviews, check out a few clips, and then go from there, man. So I appreciate y'all watching. Let's hop right into it.
Game will be televised. ESPN2 will broadcast spring game on the 19th. We got to sell this thing out and pack this thing because the way the trend is going, you never know if this is going to be the last spring game. I don't believe in that. I don't really want to condone that. I would like to play the spring. Actually, I like to play against another team in the spring. That's what I'm trying to do right now, to have it competitive. Playing against your own guys kind of get monotonous, and you really can't tell the level of your guys. Because, you know, it's the same old. Everybody kind of know each other towards the end. I would like to style it like the pros. I would like to practice against someone for a few days, then you have the spring game. And I think the public will be satisfied with that tremendously. I think it's a tremendous idea. Yeah, I've told those personnel who should understand that it's a tremendous idea. Big 12 Pro Day and CU NFL Showcase. Pro Day is in Dallas Tuesday to Friday. I'm actually trying to attend that Pro Day to support a multitude of our players that's going to participate. Some won't. They may attend, but some won't because they're going to save it for our Pro Day because we should have all 32 teams in attendance because we got that many players that can fly out play the game. That's April the 4th in the indoor. Nike Coaches Clinic, about the top 50 high school coaches, top 50 high school coaches from around the country here today and tomorrow for a 2-day clinic. They've been phenomenal. They started off with us in the meetings. They've had access to our practices, to our meetings, to everything, and I love it because a lot of these guys feature guys that we're recruiting right now, so it's good to form a relationship. A lot of these guys I knew from coaching high school football, coaching the plethora of Under Armour All-American games that I've coached, so there are a lot of friends out there. New staff hires and moves. You understand Marshall Faulk is here. Gunnar White is the head offensive line coach. Andre Garrard, who's awesome, played here. George Hegeman moved to assistant O-line coach. George Hilo moved to DN coach. Pecco, D-line coach. Pollock moved to special teams coordinator. Grant Hammer, new OC. Swayze, head of strength and conditioning guys. Gordon Nams, new assistant coach for strength and conditioning. We have a couple more of huge moves. We'll probably make this week, maybe one next week that you're going to really appreciate the understanding of how wonderful this staff is. I always tell you that Rod and that staff, they comfort me, and these guys that we're bringing in, along with these guys I just announced, gives me tremendous comfort. Recruiting by the numbers, 31 total players, 14 from high school, 17 from the portal. 13 was 4- and 5-star recruits in the class. CU record 3 is highest totals now the last 3 years. Juju is the fourth 5-star signed in the last 3 years, doubling that total from the previous 25 years. So we are doing pretty good with high school guys, contrary to what people may think or say, but we don't care. 9 of the 14 are 4- or 5-star recruits, 4 from Florida, 3 from Texas, 2 each from Georgia and Tennessee, plus Alabama. I love the South, you know that. Alaska. I didn't know we had somebody from Alaska. I'm just joking. Colorado as well as Michigan. Webb Walker finishing his final phase of chemotherapy treatment in Boston, and then he'll meet with his doctors about the next step. I'm very excited about that. We love him. We appreciate him. And we're praying for him and his family immensely. I truly did miss you all. A lot of things have transpired, but I feel like we will have a better team. I really do. I know we had a few phenomenal players that you're going to see get drafted. But as a team, I feel like we're better on both lines. I feel like we're better in the backfield, especially with the addition of Marshall Faulk. I just feel like offensively and defensively, the linebackers, what I'm seeing from the secondary, the depth, and I'm appreciating so many aspects of the coaching staff and what they're bringing, and the young men that are understanding what they desire. So, when you hire a guy, you want that room to emulate and imitate who he is, and that's what they're doing right now, and I'm proud of that. Sapp is settled now. He's good. I mean, you bring a big dog in there like that, he got the outside guys as well as the inside. Petco's doing his thing. Gerard is doing his thing with Big George and Gunner. It's a beautiful thing. The receivers, they're fighting, they're feisty. I just can't wait to see what comes to pass on the field. A couple quarterbacks are fighting for who's going to be who. We don't know. No one's getting a nod right now. We're testing both of them and see how they react to what Pat is throwing at them, and they're doing a phenomenal job in leadership. You got to understand the offensive line and some of the guys that are still here is used to a certain type of leader, and these guys, we want them. The standard is the standard. We're not going to shy away from the standard at receiver, at quarterback, or wherever have it. The standard is the standard. Let's go.
Nikki, go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
How you
Nikki
doing?
over to Sports Report. Good to see you.
All right, before they get going into the actual questions, I think this is a good place to stop and just kind of refresh your memory on a few things and look at some choice clips. So just kind of speaking of something that he's going to talk about is Mr. Isaiah Harge. I think this is important because if you're someone who's been keeping up with Colorado for a while, he was the red shirt guy who was basically being groomed. Is crazy, but he's being positioned, I should say, to be the next Travis Hunter. So he was working on both sides, XYZ, explosive guy who can also play on DB. But they're saying that they're taking his cornerback duties off of his plate to focus on wide receiver. He's coming into his own at playing the slot receiver. He's going to do some incredible things this season. Now, I hope that's a positive and hope that's more of a, hey, we just have like so much help at cornerback that we just don't need a guy playing both ways, and less of a, hey, he just didn't work out. But regardless, that wide receiver room, it just seems to get more dynamic and more dynamic. Something very interesting. Again, he's gonna get into this, but I want to bring it up to you as you're right here. Is that the conversation about his contract extension? This is what Deion Sanders had to say when he was asked about it.
Was that something you're
It may be. I don't know. I ain't worried about me. Let's get everybody else straight first, then I'm good.
So, big deflecting, but when the big money is coming around, there's a whole lot of big deflecting. So he's going to get into a little more about the portal. I think he hinted more at the portal. And I apologize. I say that he did promise something big when it comes to coaching, but I completely forgot this week there is no portal. So I might have misspoke at the beginning. Regardless, he did promise that these portal players are making a big impact, and Caden Salter is already making an impact, even though they're speaking about that quarterback battle between Julian Lewis. And I think it's quite heated and quite debated, not because Caden is not great, but I think just because I don't think people expected Julian Lewis to look as polished as he's looking. But Caden looks good too. Like, it's not something where, oh, well, it's only that. But no, Caden looks very clean. Caden looks just as good. And I think if you're a Colorado fan, who cares? It doesn't matter who starts, because I think you're going to be in decent hands there. You get, a little bit more experience with Caden Salters, but at the same time, when you go on the Julian Lewis side, you get some freshness, you get some elite talent, you get someone who USC was trying to, add to their illustrious rosters. Let's take a look at Colorado's transfers. Again, here's the full list there. You got the Makari Vickers from Oklahoma, Joseph Williams from Tulsa, Damon Graves, Caden Salter, of course, Zarian McGill, which is a lineman, I can't pronounce that last name, for another offensive lineman, Kylan Salter, who is actually the linebacker brother to Caden Salter, so that's a great start for him. He's had some injuries as well. Martavius French, who's a linebacker, and then Gabriel Lightfoot, the defensive lineman, and then Jaheim Waters. These are the two big names because every single time we watch spring practice, you see these two big motherfuckers on the inside, Jaheim Brown and Gabriel Lightfoot. And it's just like, wow, y'all some big just sitting in there. And, of course, Reginald Hughes there, Jeremiah Brown, who, of course, transferred and then exited his name out of the transfer portal. Here are those people as well. I think an elite group of people, and an elite group that ranks in the, I think, top 5, is it? Top 15 transfer class in the nation. So I think he's doing exactly what Deion wants to do. So let's hop back into the interview and kind of let's hear him answer more of these questions there.
You
like the sweater? I see you.
Thank you. You mentioned the quarterback competition. When you and Coach Shermer, watching them on the field, what qualities are you looking for in your
Leadership.
starting quarterback?
Leadership, being able to see the field, being able to rally those guys around. Because you got to understand, you got to have a bona fide leader. Why? You asked me that, I'm glad you asked. Because you don't huddle. You rarely huddle in college football. So those guys rarely get to look in the quarterback's eyes and see what he's consist of, and is he still composed? They rarely do that. You would see Shador sitting there, or he going on the sideline talking to those guys, and I always used to tell him, look in their eyes so they could see where you are. They could see how passionate you are about this next possession. And you want to see that type of leadership because I know what they've seen. And the standard is the standard, and we're not going to vacillate from the standard.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing?
Brian Howell, the Daily Camera.
I'm ready for you, baby. I'm ready.
I got 2 questions for you. First off, I'm curious how.
Hold on. My God, that's a nice jacket. My God. I got the record. First of all, I saw it at practice, and I got instantly jealous. You almost provoked me to go upstairs and change. That's how good you look. I don't know who made it, but I promise you I'm going to knock it off. That means duplicate it. And I'm going to have the pants to match. But that's a nice jacket. You ain't got the nerve to do that, but I do. But that's a nice jacket. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's right. It is a nice jacket.
It is.
2 questions for you. First off, how are you adjusting to coaching football without your sons being there?
I love it because I only have to wear one hat. And you don't understand how much I appreciate that. Because when you're a dad and a coach, you're wearing 2 hats. You coaching your butt off, but naturally you're making sure your kids are all right at the same time, simultaneously. And I've adopted kids on this team that I love to life, and I'm watching them as well. But it's nothing like your 2 biological kids being up there. You can't help but focus on those young men and seeing how they're doing. So it's different for me. I'm sure it's different for them, but I'm loving the process. I truly am.
And then I want to ask you, I asked Coach Faulk this the other day, but obviously you've been very adamant about financial literacy for your players.
True.
And he was in that industry for so many years,
Right.
the last several years, 7 years or whatever. How much did that play into you wanting to bring him in here knowing that he could maybe help those guys in that regard?
Well, I brought him in first and foremost because of his expertise of what he does. He was one of the greatest, arguably the greatest running back to ever play the game. I'm talking about in all phases, blocking, running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield, and a bona fide leader. Marshall made many of the checks for the quarterbacks early in some of those quarterbacks' careers, and he was just that smart. And we worked beside one another for over a decade at the NFL Network, so I know him. He is not just a friend. That's my dog. That's my boy. That's my man. I mean, I got love for Marshall Faulk. So for him to even do what he's doing here, he didn't have to. Marshall don't need no money. He's straight. So for him to want to come and help these young men and help us do what we're doing and these guys to elevate to the next level, that's tremendous. I'm proud. I'm happy. I'm thankful. I'm elated. Every time I see him, I go up and hug him, man, because it's, looking around the room and you see Marshall Faulk, and then you listen in on some of the talks and some of the wisdom that he's giving these young men is unbelievable. They getting it at cornerback, defensive line. They getting it everywhere now, and it's crazy with Pat, with the quarterbacks. And I'm telling you, we got a couple surprises that you're going to say, darn it. You might use profanity, but I say darn it. You may use profanity, but it's going to be some good guys.
Coach Jack Carlo.
Jack Carlo, my man. Let's get along with Jack.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Coach.
I miss you, man.
I miss you too.
There you go.
Now with Sports Illustrated too. But just wanted to ask you about the Big 12 Pro Day and the CU's in-house showcase. Just how big an opportunity is that for guys kind of looking to boost their stock?
It's tremendous. Big 12 Pro Day. I love what they're doing. I mean, we got I think the nicest, the coldest darn commissioner in the game, to even think of that and allow us to have that for these young men that some of them may not get opportunity. You just know some of the guys because they were high-profile guys, but we got several guys, Herm Smith and several guys that's going to be there that just want an opportunity to put on in front of some of the scouts that's going to be there. So that Pro Day is phenomenal. That's what I'm saying. It's in Frisco, I believe, Texas. I think I'm going. That's not too far from me, about an hour and a half from me, actually. But I'm going to try my best to be there. I know some of our young men are going, and they're probably participating in some of the interviews, but they're going. And I'm happy about that. And our pro day here is going to be televised. I think the NFL Network may carry it as well. It's phenomenal. We're going to try to put on the best show possible for the fans as well as these young men, to have them in the capacity that they're at peace, they're at home, they could relax and just do what they've been gifted to do. So I'm excited about that. I really am, because I know all 32 teams will be represented here. It's going to be phenomenal for our program.
Hi, Coach. Adam Mustertag,
How you doing,
24/7 Sports. Doing well. Good to see you. We had a chance to talk to Coach Gunnar White last week. And
Yeah.
he said when he got to Jackson State, he was a little bit starstruck,
Yeah.
and so he just put his head down, went to work. When did
He
you see
did.
him start taking notice of his potential in that role?
He's a workaholic. First of all, he works his butt off, and he compliments normally the head guy at the offensive line pretty darn well. He's going to be there at the wee hours of the night. He's going to make sure his job is complete. Usually when I get up to the offensive line, their paperwork is on my desk first, because we grade the young men after every practice. And he's been doing it for years. He has it there first. That's just who he is. He's a tremendous father. Two beautiful young ladies that he's raising, and I see his wife and the kids all the time. And I love it. He got the biggest calves you ever want to see. Your biggest calves you ever want to see. And he's a black belt. I don't know if he said that because he was in a black environment, but he said he was a black belt. I don't know if he said that to scare us, but he said he was a black belt when he was in Jackson. And he graduated from Jackson State, so that was phenomenal. But you talking about a man that's passionate about what he does and deserve the opportunity. When you win, you elevate from within. When you lose, you go out and find something outside the house. You remember that, guys. When you're on your job, wherever you are, if you're successful, you elevate from within, because you guys will soar and go somewhere else, prayerfully to a bigger check, a bigger payday, if that's what you choose to do. But that's normally the process. But I love Gunnar. He's
To pause again, because like I did say, it was going to be a lot about the additions at the coaching spot. And I've already done a separate video about Gunnar and his taking over, but I just love that. And I love the wisdom being dropped there, right? The moniker nomenclature, when you win, you hire from within, right? When you lose, you go and reach out. And in a world where I think a lot of people are starting to kind of face the realities of some of the economy's hard. I know there's people that are going to get laid off, people who have been laid off, XYZ, right? And this is one of those times where, things might not feel when the winning is winning. But as you go off to do your ventures, as you go off to do the phenomenal things you're going to do, whether it be outside of work, maybe it's a new job, maybe you're a manager, maybe you have any type of control in bringing on people and elevating people. I think it's important that, listening to a word like that is important. And not just that, right? I think the thing that is shocking me so much, and I think the reason why a lot of the hate for Deion Sanders has kind of gone away, is because you can see the type of people he's trying to put around these kids, right? These are, a workaholic, someone who grew up not grew up, but going as a white man through HBCU, probably went through some adversity, right? Graduated from HBCU, started grinding as an assistant in a TA or whatever, blah, blah, and go through. And I think he played some JUCO football too, because we did his video a while back. But you're talking about that type of guy. You're talking about Marshall Faulk. You're talking about Marshall Faulk, one of the greatest running backs of all time. And then, of course, the financial part about it. And then it's so interesting because Deion Sanders, whenever we talk about NIL, right, whenever we talk about these types of things, Deion Sanders consistently gives an answer of how to fix it. His way to fix it, let's give them financial literacy. Let's do that. So what does he do? Or how about have one of my coaches, my running back coach, be have a background in financial services? Why not, right? And then you have someone like Warren Sapp who can get it. And like all these people are people not just that, they've been there, done it at a high level, but they strive. They've been through adversity and they strive to be great every day. Yeah, you ain't got to look far to see Warren Sapp's story. All right. And that is one of confusion and just as like reading the story, not like, he's confused, but it's a lot of craziness in there. Right. But it's breeded someone who seems so passionate about pouring into these young kids. And I just feel like if you are someone who believes in this old style of football, I know you might hate it. Deion Sanders might be the only one with the old brand of football who's bashing and championing. Oh yeah, I want a spring game. Yeah, let's do it. So what are y'all talking about? I don't want to cancel no spring game. I want these kids to be around people who make them feel like great men, not just NIL deal this, NIL deal that. I don't know, man. A lot of people looked at Deion Sanders crazy, but now I think as the years go on, because some of these coaches are no-name people, right? They're probably struggling to recruit. But Deion Sanders don't even struggle to recruit coaching staff because he knows so many NFL players, elite NFL players. So what do you think it is like for him recruiting players? I don't know, the doubts and worries about the team and calling Colorado a circus or whatever. And even if they struggle this year, because that's very possible, with some a lot of turnover that they could struggle and whatever. Like I'm very open to that possibility. I think the bigger idea is that even with that, at the forefront, it seems that, and even with this big, crazy name that he's kind of hinting at coming in, the focus has been making sure that these kids get things and education and are put in a spot that's best for them. So that's just great to see, man. That's great to see. But yeah, ending it off, man. Recap of these transfer portal players again: interior offensive linemen, big dogs, defensive linemen. You got Jaheim Otis, as well as Lightfoot, Gabriel Lightfoot. That's a 6'3", 6'5". Those big beefy boys. Another defensive lineman from Texas State, Louisiana Tech interior lineman, and then you have Joseph Williams, who's actually a flip from Utah, who's coming to Colorado. Again, that what's it called, wide receiver room from Colorado, it's just stacked, it's just loaded, it just from top to bottom. So that is awesome to see, man. But that's all we have today. Like I said, I don't want to y'all go watch the full situation there on his thing, but he's promising some big things, and I think some even greater things are going to come from this week of spring practice. Leave a comment down below if you want to see more spring practice, if there's something you want to see. Again, we talk about college football, we talk about transfer portals. I got a transfer portal, the portal players are going to make the biggest impact video cooking up right now. I want to drop that before the spring portal opens and then things get crazy. So again, but man, I really appreciate y'all watching. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you enjoy college football content, updates, everything else in between. Man, you're great, and don't forget it, because you know you is. Peace.